Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So this morning we were reading from Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 3 entitled Status Quo, Chapter 23, Devahuti's Lamentation. We're on text 50. How many more?
Probably do about 7.
Yep, 7. Likyantado mukhi bhumim
Kanchado Mukhi Bhumim.
Padanaka manishya
Danakamanishya.
Uvacha lalitam vacham
Vacha Lalitam Vacham.
Nirudhayashu kalam shanai
Nirudya Shukalam Shanai.
Likyantado mukhi bhumim
Kanchado Mukhi Bhumim.
Padanaka manishya
Danakamanishya.
Uvacha lalitam vacham
Vacha Lalitam Vacham.
Nirudhyashu kalam shanai.
Nirudya Shukalam Shanai. Kanchado Mukhi Bhumim. Kanchado Mukhi Bhumim. Padanakamanishya. Padanakamanishya. Uvacha Lalitam Vacham. Uvacha Lalitam Vacham. Nirudya Shukalam Shanai. Nirudya Shukalam Shanai.
Kantyado mukhi bhumim,
Kanchado Mukhi Bhumim.
Padanaka manishya,
Padanakamanishya.
Uvacha lalitam vacham,
Uvacha Lalitam Vacham.
Nirudyo ashru kalam shanai,
Nirudya Shukalam Shanai. Kantyado Mukhi Bhumim. Kantyado Mukhi Bhumim. Padanakamanishya. Padanakamanishya. Uvacha Lalitam Vacham. Uvacha Lalitam Vacham. Nirudyasru Kalam Shanai. Nirudyasru Kalam Shanai. Kantyado Mukhi Bhumim. Padanakamanishya. Uvacha Lalitam Vacham. Nirudyasru Kalam Shanai.
Want to chant, Janar? Janar? Want to chant? No? Alright. Likhanti,
Likanti.
scratching.
Stretching.
Adamukhi,
Adamukhi.
her head bent down.
Her head bent down.
Bhumim,
Bhumim.
the ground.
Ground.
Pada,
Nada.
with her foot.
With her foot.
Naka,
Naka.
nails.
Nails.
Mani,
Mani.
gem-like.
Gem-like.
Shriya,
Shriya.
with radiant. Uvacha,
Uvacha.
she spoke.
She spoke.
Lalitam,
Lalitam.
charming. Vacham,
Vacham.
what was that?
What is that? Charming words. Vacham words.
I don't know, it didn't say words here, it just says charming.
Lalitam Vacham. Vacham. I thought you said Vacham.
Oh, I said Lalitam, charming, and then Vacham, it says accents.
Accent. Okay.
Anyways, accents.
Accent.
Nirudya,
Nirudya.
suppressing.
Suppressing.
Ashru kalam,
Ashukalam.
tears.
Tears.
Shanai,
Shanai.
slowly.
Slowly.
She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down, she spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears. Purport. Devahuti was so beautiful that her toenails appeared just like pearls. and as she scratched the ground, it appears as if pearls had been thrown on the ground. When a woman scratches the ground with her foot, it is a sign that her mind is very disturbed. These signs were sometimes exhibited by the gopis before Krishna. When the gopis came in the dead of the night, and Krishna asked them to return to their homes, the gopis also scratched the ground like this because their minds were very disturbed. So I'll just read one more. Devahutir vacha sarvam tam bhagavan mayam upovaha pratishutam atapi me prapannaya abhayam datamarasi. So the next verse for tomorrow is 52. Sri Devahuti said, "My Lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me. Yet because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too." Purport. Devahuti requested her husband to grant her something without fear. As a wife, she was a fully surrendered soul to her husband, and it is the responsibility of the husband to give his wife fearlessness. How one awards fearlessness to his subordinate is mentioned in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who cannot get free from the clutches of death is dependent, and he should not become a spiritual master, nor a husband, nor a kinsman, nor a father, nor a mother, etc. It is the duty of the superior to give fearlessness to the subordinate. To take charge of someone, therefore, either as a father, mother, spiritual master, relative, or husband, one must accept the responsibility to give his ward freedom from the fearful situation of material existence. Material existence is always fearful and full of anxiety. Devahuti is saying, "You have given all sorts of material comforts by your yogic power, and since you are now prepared to go away, you must give me your last award, so that I may get free from this material conditional life." Om Jnanatamidandasya Garanjana Shavakaya Chakshulamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kadidvacharam Pangam Nangayati Grim Yakapatam Halvanda Shri Gurandiptanam Vancha Kapadvishaka Vasanadeva Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So is everybody tired? A little bit?
Oh, Casey's not tired. He's just asleep.
Yeah, it was a late. I think devotees just got a few hours of sleep. I also didn't get much that. I think I got the least because I had to wake up the deities. But anyways, I'm trying to stay awake myself. So sometimes devotees, there was cases of devotees even falling asleep while they gave the class. Yeah. I think it was all due to a lot of service, but I think Jayapataka Swami, he was, because Maharaj it's quite wild actually how much he travels, but traveling, and then he arrived in LA and he was reading the verse and this and that, and he'd be like, falling asleep. But anyways, actually, yeah, Tirtha Maharaj told me, he said, Maharaj was giving the class in LA and he's falling asleep, kept on falling asleep, and then finally he just kind of got up and he just said, the closest brahmachari, he said, "Oh, you take over."
You take over.
And then Maharaj just left during the Bhagavatam class. It was Jai Gauranga. For those who know from LA, he was in the brahmachari ashram. He's there in Colorado now, Jai Gauranga. So here it's Srila Prabhupada, the verse, it's saying that it's talking about Devahuti and how pretty much Kardama Muni is getting ready to leave. He's getting ready to take sannyas. So you could just imagine for a devoted, right, wife, her husband's like her life and soul, not like a lot of the times nowadays, they're looking to get out of the relationship, right? The wife is looking to get rid of the husband. The husband's looking to get rid of the wife, to find somebody else, whatever. But previously, there was such attachment that the wife would actually enter the fire. She would enter the fire upon the husband's death, because the traditional Vedic system is that the body's burnt; it's not buried. So when the body of the husband's burning, the woman would enter the fire willingly, that was her choice. She wasn't forced. But she would think that the separation I feel from my husband is not as bad, is not as worse as me suffering in this fire and dying. And that's actually, they say, is worse, yeah. They actually say that is the worst, or that is the most painful type of death. Yeah, burning. I mean, you could imagine, right? Being burnt, the body being burnt. It's quite probably be quite painful. Like when I was going to middle school, they had these history books and everything, and they show the Buddhists there, right? And he's there, and then there's just flames, flames coming up, and he's just like. So it's very painful. So for the wife, the separation from the husband, it's very painful. Even when the husband's going off to do something good, like preach, spread the glories of Krishna, or go into sannyas, order of life, I'm sure it's still painful, because that attachment's so strong. So Kardamuni, he's getting ready to leave, and Devahuti, she's at this point, Kardamuni hasn't appeared, but she's requesting a son, because the idea is that the whole Vedic system is the son takes care of the mother when the father leaves. And nowadays, the whole idea of sannyas, especially with people who aren't familiar with the culture, it's just absolutely wild. The whole idea, like they can't understand it at all. Like I was speaking with some family members about this idea. Somehow it came up, the 4 orders of life and all this. And especially she was just not getting it. The wife of one of my family members, she just wasn't getting it. Oh, how can he just leave like that? Isn't that kind of cruel? Just to leave, leave the wife behind. And I was saying, well, it's you get ready and preparing for the next life, and trying to be detached.
You described the vanaprastha stage too.
Yeah, I mean, I described that as well. Yeah, I didn't just say, but I described I described it all, but still there was so much difficulty in understanding that. And even nowadays in ISKCON, it's especially in the West, because we grow up here in the West, and there's certain cultural conditioning that happens, and it's not easy to get free from that. Just like if you're from Minnesota or whatever, Missouri, then I'm sure you'll probably like, what will you like, Janardhan? If you're from you're like
to eat?
Yeah.
Cornbread.
You like the cornbread or whatever the.
Chitlins?
I don't know if we want to get into that.
It's Alabama.
Huh?
In Alabama, they like specifically the chitlins and all that stuff. We like biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy like that. Or I'm sure, but yeah,
Cornbread.
But when we come devotees, we try to transfer that, in relation to devotees, once a person becomes a devotee, it's, that cultural, that's still kind of there, I'm sure people who are from that part of the world, they like, gravy, right? Biscuits and gravy, like Janardhan, he still likes. He's a Vaishnav and he still likes that. And people from whatever, Italy or this and that, they become devotees, and I doubt their attachment to pizza or pasta is gone. It's still there, usually. And what to speak of all the other things we get conditioned growing up. So if someone within a Vaishnav community in the West, the man and the wife was there, and the wife had this idea, I'll take sannyas, and he actually does it. We could. Brigapati Prabhu was telling me that, people would kind of, like in LA, people would kind of look around, hey, he really did it. Left the house. It's pretty intense, that he actually did it. So in other words, it's not like a norm. Devotees won't take that exactly like normal. They'll think it's kind of like, whoa, due to the cultural condition. But in India, it'll be more, somewhat more accepted, right? So this is the idea that traditionally this is what happened, that the men would leave, the married men would leave, and leave the wife with the son, the grown-up son. So this is what Devahuti, she's requesting, that I want a son, or I need a son to look after me. And Prabhupada's mentioned in the purport that before she's requesting this from her husband, she's looking at the ground, she's scratching her foot, to the ground, right, on the ground. This is a sign of disturbed mind, or mind with some anxiety there. And I was just thinking nowadays, because it's all so much concrete, right, and everybody's wearing shoes, it's kind of like you scratch the concrete with your shoe or something. But this is indicating that she didn't have shoes on. They were just beautiful. Her toenails appeared just like pearls. She's scratching the ground. And Prabhupada's saying that the gopis, they also did that. When Krishna went out, first of all, Krishna, he played his flute. And with the flute, he attracted all the gopis out in the dead of the night. And once they came there, he was asking them, "Oh, well, what are you doing out here? Right? It's the dead of the night. What are you doing out here? Shouldn't you be at home?" Anyways, it's a whole thing we could read, 10th canto. But they were also scratching the floor or scratching the ground with their toes, their foot. Disturbed mind, because they wanted to be with Krishna, right? They wanted to associate with Krishna, but Krishna was kind of, you could say, Krishna was, joking with, kind of giving him a hard time. That's what he was doing, transcendental hard time. And Devahuti, she is asking for fearlessness. She's asking for fearlessness. So this is very important quality for all devotees to have, this fearlessness. It's extremely important because, and actually this fearlessness is the sign of Krishna consciousness, that we have Krishna consciousness, that we're fearless. Because we have an understanding that, yes, I'm not this body, I'm the soul, and no one could hurt me, right, because I'm the soul. And also, even on another level that someone can't hurt me in the sense that, for example, people may try to offend me, right? They may try to say something or whatever. But who are they really offending, right? Are they offending me, the soul? How can you offend the soul? The soul's, right? How can you offend the soul? They may say, "Oh, you're stupid," right? For example. Some people say that sometimes, right? Or they'll say it, whatever. But, okay, well, is the soul stupid? Right? What do you think, Janard? Is the soul stupid? No? No, it's not. Or you could say, "Oh, you're ugly," right? Like, "Oh, you're ugly." I'm not saying that to you. But now, okay, but is the soul ugly? No, the soul's not ugly. The soul's beautiful. So on, like that. So if we feel offended when people say things to us, then that means we're not remembering that we're the soul. We're not remembering that we're the soul. We're not acting on that. So that's important. So if we're on the soul platform, then people can't really offend us. And this is part of being fearless, that we have this understanding that, yeah, we're the soul and no one could hurt us. So growing up, I was within middle school in this kind of somewhat rough part of the neighborhood, you could say. I mean, not really bad, but there was a lot of punks, you could say. And, they would always try to pick fights with me. And I was always a person that I would never immediately accept it because I wanted to try to avoid it, So they would always try to pick fights. And Larry knows because Larry grew up in the same kind of neighborhood. These guys would always try to pick fights, like all the time. They were just so, so devoted to this and so violent, and they had little gangs and all that, right? So for the most part, I was... I would reject. But anyways, at some point, you have to accept. Right? They're just going to keep on bullying you. So for the most part, I wasn't afraid of these guys, But there was a few guys that I was, to be quite honest. There's two guys. And this guy, I mean, maybe it was just a rumor, but just by looking at him, he was like so strong. Both these guys, they're obviously doing some workout or whatever, but they're like super strong. But one of these guys, the people they said, I don't know if it was just making it up, but they said the guy would like kick trees, with his foot. He would kick a tree. And that just freaked me out. I was just like, that's just too much. I can't deal with this. Like, I can't get close to this guy, So yeah, I did have some fear about that guy in relation to those guys. But So yeah, in this world, the material energy, she's super strong. She's super strong. And Devamrita Swami would sometimes refer to her as like a bully. Like a bully. Like these guys. These guys were kind of bullies, actually. And I wouldn't accept it from anyone else besides these two guys. But it didn't go too far. But anyways, they never like physically attacked me. But Devamrita Swami would refer to the material energy of Maya like a bully. So he was given an example that in school, like if you're standing in line for the lunch, if you're standing there and then a bully comes up to you, and then he takes his foot, that it's all mud, it's all from the dirt, the water and the dirt makes mud. So he takes his foot and he just wipes it on both of your legs, right on your pants, right here, like this, with his feet, leaves a big mark in front of everybody. And then he looks you in the face and he says, "What are you going to do about it?" So he said, Maharaj is making the point. He said, if you don't do anything about it, he's just going to continue. He's just going to continue. But if you stand up for yourself, then he'll back off and he'll find somebody else. So Maharaj made the point that similarly Maya, she's like that. She's constantly kind of, challenging us. Oh, hey, what about that? What about this? What about that? Right, kind of like a bully. Now, if we don't stand up to that, we'll just be kicked around our whole life. Like, and Prabhupada said, like a football, right, or a soccer ball, kicked around. So the point is, we have to stand up to that. We have to stand up to that. We cannot. Yes, we are afraid of Maya, sure. But we cannot accept that bullying of Maya. So we have to be strong by taking shelter of Krishna. We have to take shelter of Krishna. And specifically, you could say in one sense more so, take shelter of devotees association. That's what we have to take shelter of. And then, because the material energy, she convinces us, okay, or she's helping us, right, have this conviction that, okay, you are your body, and therefore sense gratification is the highest thing you could have, and therefore you should be afraid of death like that. So all these things are just Maya's influence on us. So if we take shelter of Krishna, we won't be afraid of death, for example, which people are afraid of. And further on, Srila Prabhupada says that we shouldn't become a guru, we shouldn't become a husband, a father, mother, he says relative, unless we can give our subordinates freedom from anxiety. So this is what the spiritual master does. Samsara dava nalalita loka tranaya karunya gana ganatam patasya kalyana guna navasya vande goroshi charanadavindam. So the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada says that this blazing fire of material existence, this is referring to anxiety. Anxiety. So he extinguishes this if we follow his instructions. So anxiety, so many people have. Yeah, right? What about my future? What about this? What about that? Anxiety over dying, anxiety over living, right? And brahmacharis and the brahmachari ashram, sometimes they also have this anxiety. That what about my future? Who will take care of me? Like I had a godbrother, and he was serving my spiritual master, and he had this anxiety, who will take care of me when I get old? And he left he left the brahmachari, he left the service of my spiritual master, and he left the brahmachari ashram because he's saying, who will take care of me? Which, from some angle of vision, from one angle of vision, it could be a concern. Who will take care of you? Right? When you get sick or when you get old and you can't do things, and right, who will take care of you? Will the temple take care of you? Right? Will the brahmachari? Who will take care of you? So he didn't have this conviction that Krishna, or Krishna will make the arrangements. I mean, nothing against him; he's a nice person, and everything, but he didn't have that conviction. And therefore, people who so the point is, we have to get free of all that. It's really garbage, actually. We have to get free of all that. That we shouldn't be in fear. Oh, who will take care of me? How will I be maintained? Right? What about this? What about that? What about my body? What about my mind? Right? This is all just fear. And to live a life of fear means we can't really preach Krishna consciousness. We'll be thinking about ourselves all the time. And when we're younger, in the ashram, brahmachari ashram, it's actually easy to be fearless because we're in the beginning. I mean, I'm also in the beginning. From one angle of vision, so many people, what is the beginning, right? I don't know, maybe it was a long time ago. But I'm just saying, in the initial years in the brahmachari ashram, 1, 2, 3 years, whatever, 4 years, so on. It's easy to speak of months or years. It's easy to kind of be carefree and fearless and all that. But over time, we have to try to maintain that. How to be fearless. And many devotees, they fall into that trap of getting freaked out. What about the future? Like Tirtha Maharaj was telling me, he had a friend before he was about to take sannyas. And the friend was telling him, "Oh, Maharaj, who will take care of you when you get old, I heard stories of brahmacharis, in certain ashrams not being taken care of, this and that." And then Maharaj said, "Oh, Krishna will make the arrangements, And then Maharaj said, "Well, that's why I'm taking sannyas and you're not, Because he had that faith, that conviction. So that's a very important thing to have, that Krishna will take care of us, not be scared. And therefore, when our focus is, off of ourself and our own maintenance and like that, then we could focus on Krishna. We could focus on spreading Krishna consciousness. And yeah, it's a great need actually. It's everybody's crying. All the conditioned souls are crying. And they're wondering, oh, when is someone going to come and save me? Right? When is someone going to come and save me? Either they're consciously doing that or unconsciously doing that. The soul's crying, oh, when is someone going to come and save me? So this is the duty of Vaishnavas. They go out and they try to, or they somehow or other go out and try to help people. And this is extremely needed now. Because as time goes on, the sinful activities of the conditioned souls becomes more and more intense, and more degraded, and more available as time goes on. Like, I've been here for however many years, and when I was growing up, I'm still growing, I don't know, whatever you want to say, but when I was younger, like middle school, high school, like that, yes, all the kids were going crazy, But now, even more so. So Javita Prabhu talks about his growing up in middle school and high school and what the situation was, right? And then my situation, but then there's a whole nother next generation that's going on now. So it's just getting worse and worse. It's actually that's actually quite scary that it's getting worse. And yeah, things are just becoming very cheap. Everything's very cheap. Like when I was middle school, high school, for example, whatever, but for kids to try to go get marijuana, it was an endeavor. You got to call this guy, call that guy doesn't come through. You're waiting 2 days. It's a big endeavor. Now, it's right there on the billboard, right? Oh, here, just call this place. And, you get.
Even Trader Joe's, they have different kinds.
They'll get soon. They will, yeah. And you get this little card. You get this little card, right? You make up something that, oh yeah, I have a hard time going to sleep or whatever. Most people just make it up. And you get a card and you go pay some money and it's very easy. That's my point. It's very, very easy. Everything's getting really, really cheap. And this is Prabhupada's quote, and Prabhupada brings up all types of stuff. So if you read the books, it's just like Prabhupada brings up. But devotees were talking, and it was in Bombay, and there was some weekly or something, and it said that the prostitutes, they had a hard time with their profession because women were so easily achieved. Nowadays they're having a hard time, and then this was this is Prabhupada's conversation with Tamal Krishna Goswami, I think Brahmananda or something, and then they're saying, unemployment, anyways, the point is, like, all the sinful activities, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meeting, it's all very, very cheap and very, very easy, and as time goes, it becomes more like that. So, and then the mind becomes so disturbed. Like I talk with devotees, and they tell me what they've done. Not details or whatever, but the basic of what they've done, right, in their life. And they may have not done that much in terms of sinful activity, but still they're super disturbed over it. Years later, 10 years later, 5 years later, it's still in their mind rattling. So what to speak of someone engaged in like so many sinful activities in their youth, like a lot. You can imagine the disturbance of the mind that it creates. Because that's what the mode of passion is. It's just simply a disturbance and ignorance. Simply a disturbance. It means no peace, right? So this idea of becoming a guru and everything like that, relative friend and so on, we're meant to be examples of fearlessness, and also we're meant to give the people who are subordinate to fearlessness in the sense that we give them knowledge, we give them association in which they become fearless. This is extremely important. Fearlessness, freeing anxiety, peacefulness. So this is what Devahuti, she's asking Kardama, please give me a son. And then the idea is Kapila Muni comes, right? And then he gives Devahuti. He gives Devahuti fearlessness in the form of instructions, knowledge. So this is what we're also trying to do. We're trying to give people knowledge in which they become fearless. Not just, as it says here, yes, Kardama Muni, he had taken care of the material, right? The aerial mansion or the city, right? And everything material was taken care of. But also now she's asking, okay, what about the spiritual? So this care goes material and spirituals. We have to take care of both. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Chang. Soon will be initiated by another name.
Predicted his name.
You predicted?
I know, me too.
Chaitanya Prema.
Chaitanya Prema. Oh,
Right?
Oh, Chaitanya Prema, one of those two.
okay.
I just had a comment. Thank you for the nice class.
Thank you.
This concept of fearlessness, and I was immediately reminded of His Grace Rajanananda Prabhu's most recent Sunday Peace lecture. Was anybody here for that?
Actually, I was out of town, so
You were in Tijuana, Peru.
yeah.
He was just on fire. He just reminded me so much like Prabhupada.
Oh yeah.
Just telling you as it is. And one thing he gave an example of fearlessness. This is of his own life.
Yeah.
He was on an airplane,
Yeah.
300 people, and the alarms are going off. The pilot, the stewardess, they're out. Everybody's
Freaking out. Yeah.
for his food, and the plane. Everybody is under the assumption that the plane is going down.
Yeah.
And he was saying when he was alerted of that knowledge, aware of that knowledge, he was whatever book he was reading in his hand, he just flipped it to a page of Prabhupada. And then he said, and then in his mind he was very calm, just there staring at Prabhupada and thinking and praying to Prabhupada. Okay, Prabhupada, if this is my time to go, then let me take me wherever you want. And
Yeah.
then he was saying that this is the gift of the spiritual master, fearlessness, and that he was able to he was in the understanding that Krishna will protect. So I thought that was really nice, and also fearlessness in terms of on a material platform, but also on a understanding that if we have full confidence in the spiritual master, then we won't be in fear if there is some task needed to be done. Like when I'm preaching Krishna consciousness or we're doing something, to whatever extent we have faith in the spiritual master, then to that extent we're without fear.
Yeah. Yeah, Rajanananda Prabhu was also on a bus in India. Those buses are kind of, it's ridiculous. It's just dangerous.
Anything on the road.
I don't know. It's just so, they have to organize that better. America is quite organized, actually. Still there's problems with the cars, but he was on a bus, and it was just like this huge bus with a bunch of devotees. And I don't know why they do this, but the road's kind of small at some points, or I don't know, it's just so many people, cars, and then sometimes buses, they go like this towards each other. And at the end, they kind of, it's ridiculous, but he was on a bus like that, and they thought they were going to hit, and devotees started kind of freaking out like this. He was just chanting. But yeah, devotees naturally develop this fearlessness. Kind of interesting in LA at the Prabhupada Festival, there was actually a bomb threat. I don't know if you knew that. Somebody called BBT and said, they asked for a small amount of money, I thought, but they said, if you don't give me $20,000, then we're going to blow up the temple or something like that. And then, so Savas Prabhu in the morning, or at the end of it was around 8:30, something like that. Savas came in, he told all the devotees, okay, everybody you have to exit the building, and we have a bomb threat, and the police were all there and everything. And Siddhanta Prabhu was passing out his Prabhupada books, memories, anecdotes. And devotees were sitting in line, or waiting in line. And then they just kept on waiting in line, They wouldn't leave. Just kind of like, okay. And then so I was, okay, well, you could do that outside, but you got to go, So the devotees are kind of funny, because some people, they'd be like, I'm freaking out, running out of the building. So I thought that was interesting. But
I remember